It works. And we're recording already, okay.
Yes.
Great.
And I copied the notes that I was taking from the previous session, so they're not lost.
Good job. Okay, it worked.
Yeah, so it's being recorded now.
Yes.
Yeah, great.
So William and Anna.
How long can you be here, Sam and Aaron?
Another 40 minutes, I think.
Ah, great.
Anna, welcome back.
It worked.
Yeah, I've got about 20, 25 minutes, something like that. But yeah, so I think we could just have the conversation normally and it'll be fine. Yeah.
We lost William.
Yeah, I think he'll probably join us. So just to kind of drop into where we were, Anna, I would love to hear your perspective on purpose. And I'll just want to answer your question though, what is the purpose of purpose? For me, it is a way for us to orient together and be able to find our collective direction and what we're looking at. And that part of why I feel like I feel like I understand what you're saying around not having a specific, and I think it also feeds in with the conversation around what is purpose, and in that collective looking at the importance of purpose and what it does, and whether or not we need to have that as an anchor for our work or not, can help us to better understand each other and where we're coming from. Because for me, it's about deepening how we understand each other and what direction we might take together. And I guess I'm advocating for and motivated to understand each person's purpose so that I can help them if I can better understand where they're coming from, and maybe help to make connections between people if I see some common purposes that might help each other.
Okay. My perspective is I feel I don't know. I really don't know what my purpose is. And I might think it is something one day and then change it the next. And I feel like I'm discovering, I'm learning. I'm, like Glenn was saying, in a very new situation where I feel we can't take tools that we've used before and apply them in this situation. Well, I'm not saying we shouldn't, because other people might find them useful. I'm just saying at the moment, it doesn't feel useful for me, but I'm happy for everybody else to do that. And maybe if they do that, I would suddenly feel, okay, yeah, I want to join in on that. But I also see purpose as a sort of, train lines, sort of a bit hemming me in some way, because what I need most in this situation, which is so new, is freedom. Just to be anywhere, to trust myself. Something is guiding us to the right place. This thing that Glenn is talking about is huge. It is powerful, and there is something happening which I would like to align myself to, but it's not a specific thing as far as I can see yet. Well, that's as far as I can go.
Do you mean that there's a sort of larger intelligence which is guiding us, and
Maybe. I don't know.
So I'm trying this perspective that I think I know what I'm doing today. I think I know. Hey, William, welcome back.
Sorry, I got waylaid. The butterfly thing.
So, Anna, let me try this. I think I know what I'm doing today. I've, as you said, practice some of these traditional tools, and I've got this to-do list that's probably several pages long. That perennially beating myself up and feeling guilty about for not having done it. So I have a bunch of stuff that will definitely occupy my time today. I also have thought about, and I think I have a notion of what I would like to do or to be remembered for 5, 10, 15, 20, 50, 100 years from now. That's my dream, to be remembered for something and for it to be something that I can describe. And for me, I don't know how to go from my current day-to-day list of 50 different things or 500 different things to that thing over there. I think I trust that all of these things are kind of supporting that in some way, but I don't really have a clear path. And it's going to be a Brownian motion. I'm going to take that corner, and maybe I'll be blocked over here, so I have to go take that little circumvention, and maybe I'll be blocked there, and maybe somebody else will help me over some other hill. So it's that trust, I think, that you mentioned that, yeah, I trust that, some way I'm going to make my way. I may not get all the way there, but I'll get part of the way there. And I think each of us has that kind of a notion, right? Maybe it's not clear, maybe it's vague, but there's something. So what I trust is that each of us has some notion of what it means to be good or to do good. And what that means for me is different than what that means for Aaron or you or Tammy or Glenn or William or whoever else is listening to this. But I think that's enough. Because if we can explore what that good means, then that's an interesting conversation. And I might say, wow, that's an interesting notion. Let me incorporate that into my notion of good. Or I might say, wow, that's really going to take me off path. So, that's curious. Maybe we should have a conversation about that. And maybe we want to take different turns at the next stop. But I think any very specific purpose is useful for a period of time. A very vague sense of purpose is like the North Star. It does align everybody, but then it doesn't really guide, in a very tight way what we do today. So there's a balance somewhere in there. But I think that's where the creativity and the opportunity and the weaving can take place. If I say, Anna, here's what I'm doing. Here's the 5 or 6 things I want to get done today. And you've got a list of 3 or 4 things. 1 or 2 of those things might say, wow, those are opportunities to do something together. That's the weaving that I think I'd like to see in this community. But it would happen organically or, in a sense, in a kind of emergence rather than any central authority or central platform saying, today, Anna, you will have this conversation with Aaron because we detected that you have this, 0.35 correlation coefficient with this particular activity that Aaron's doing. So you better spend from 2:15 to 3:17, talking about this topic today.
I'm out of here already.
So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that if each of us has a sense of the tactical and a sense of the strategic and a trust that we're actually working towards this, and a curiosity to examine that for everyone that we want to connect with. That curiosity coming maybe in Tammy's form of these very deep conversations shared, or in the form of CCCs, or in the form of one-on-ones that are taking place in some other forum. I think that's going to build our community. And over time, someone from outside is going to say, yeah, I get a sense of what that community stands for or is identified with. But I think that's something we're going to evolve, and it's not something we can say from day one. Sorry about that. So I'm going long, but let me wrap it up by saying, I think a sense of the tactical, a sense of the strategic, trust in that direction, and a curiosity in finding about this perspective for each of us enables that weaving and enables that community. And that's, I think, a great start. Over for now.
And sort of going back to what I was saying, that the fact that Anna doesn't feel the need for a purpose, I think it's fine. But I would ask that she understood that I feel I do. And for me, one of the reasons I'm here, and one of the reasons I can, well, not just this group, but others, but in this general space, is that I just feel it. I feel we're in a bad place. I mean, world-wise, the world is in a bad place, and that's, I think, why the likes of us are drawn together, because I'm not saying better people, but at least we're looking at this stuff in a different way. And if we, when I say this stuff, I'm talking about the economic, climate change, depletion, inequalities, all the historical stuff. And and Glenn said, I think, this is, everything now seems very new, and we are in a place we've never been before. And I think he's right. And I don't think we have a second chance. I mean, don't want to be too alarmist, but I don't think we've got a second chance. If we don't get it right now, we are in real trouble. And so I feel drawn to find people I can work with that we can actually say, look, let's be radical. Let's think differently. Let's see deeply what's caused us to get to this catastrophic place, and how can we, using our joint intelligence and the people we know and so on, and the good people you can trust, not to capitalize and extract from this situation, to say, look, can we do something about it? And I think we can, but I do think we need some sort of structure to say, this is what I'm drawn to, this is what I'm working on, and I'd really like people to work with me, without saying, this is my thing, I'm in charge, you come along and be part of my team, which is so obviously part of the old way. And we all know we don't want to do that. And we shouldn't have to, but we do have to say that that's the stuff. We do have to stay there on. I mean, I've got a real problem with leaders, as probably some of you here know. But we need something like that. We need some sort of, somebody to say, well, I'm going to deal with, I don't know, pick one of the 17 strategic goals and say, this hurts me. I want to deal with it. I want to work on it. I want to work on it with people. And to do that, I do think we need some sort of purpose, strategy, and then say, well, actually, are we doing, so say, for example, famine really, that really hurts me. That seeing famine, that's just ridiculous. And the instant thing is there, well, let's buy a van and fill it full of food and take it out there. That doesn't solve the problem. And that doesn't excite me, because that doesn't get to the people that are causing the problem. I'm lecturing. I'm lecturing. But I do think we need some sort of structure so we can draw people in and say, look, this is what we're doing. This is our purpose. These are the issues we've identified. These are our proposals. And we've got the people to do it, and we're serious.
My feeling is you should get on and do that. I don't want you know, you've said it's okay if I don't feel drawn to that. So let's, rather than keep trying to, you know, pull me in.
I think my fear is
what
I'm
it
leaving
is.
you. Yeah, sorry. I think my fear is I worry that I'm leaving you behind, or we are leaving you
Not at
behind.
all. Not at all.
So
No, I just need.
that was all. Or somehow excluding by saying this is our purpose, and then people are going to say, oh, that's not my purpose. Well, we can have multiple purposes. If somebody else is drawn to, I don't know.
Why don't people talk about what their purpose is? And then, I mean, because that's what you wanted to do, right?
Mm. Sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes, I mean, I don't really know my purpose. I know a lot of stuff pisses me off, and I'd like to do something about it. But and maybe, you know, maybe I'm in part probably I'm hoping that if I can say, look, this really gets me. You know, does anybody else feel that we've got to do something? You know, where we are, do we have something? Can we do something about it? And if somebody else says, well, let's get together and say, look, yeah, this really gets me too. Can we do something about it? Then we can say, well, what, you know, how and what's our purpose, and let's be pragmatic about this. And where are the real issues? You know, ask the deep questions, because famine's not the issue. Famine is a result of the issue. The real issues are the capitalist system. I mean, you know, the cliches, and that's what we have to address. And I think we have to deeply address it. And I feel we're running out of time. It's just, you know, it could just be me. I could be just, you know, on high alert.
If there was something that you wanted to address, I think you would find that there are a lot of people already trying to address that. So it would be, a way would be to align yourself with some of those people who are already addressing that. There's a lot of stuff going on. Sorry, Tammy.
Yeah, there is. I think the difficulty is that of the issues, and the UN is a good example of the issues
I feel a tension.
Sorry?
I feel a tension.
Go on. Yeah. Well, between Anna and me.
I'm feeling that there's a little bit of ping-ponging that may not allow Aaron or Glenn or Tammy
Yeah.
to share.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I feel like a police.
No, that's fine. That's good work. Sound. Can't hear you,
Aaron, you're on mute, Aaron.
Okay.
Tammy is on mute too. Can't hear Tammy.
Yeah, we muted because you guys were talking so much that, you know, no, I'm just joking, right? Joking. Joking, completely joking. But it is true. I wrote it down, but it's hard because, you know, I'm waiting to say a point, and then it makes it hard for me to listen to what you're saying, which is really just a cognitive constraint, right? That's nobody's fault. It's just, you know, I'm a human, and if you believe in IQ, my IQ is only so high, or whatever it is, right? So, that can be interesting, right? Where you're trying to remember what you want to say, but you still want to give people time to listen. Anyway, I had that going. I had that moment going on, honestly. So to be honest, yeah. Yeah. But I don't know. Anybody else have anything?
Yeah, I have something. I'm really interested in everything you're saying here. I find myself agreeing with everyone, but that's often the case. But I do see some lines here connecting the perspectives. William, you talked about the big global challenges facing us and the need to do something about it. I certainly feel that, and I think many people feel it. And Anna, you talked about the experience of collaboration, and that you enjoy the process, and you're sort of figuring it out along the way, and you're learning, and you want to have that freedom. And I also see that as a part of this. Like, we all seem to agree that we need to have a freedom, um, and there was also a few other things that have been said, which I'm very aligned with. For example, Gertrude, in the last conversation, she talked about being as a purpose. That for her, the purpose was a way of being, and I feel that's also very much what Tammy has been talking about too, in terms of having these conversations and understanding each other's unique purposes and abilities and viewpoints, that this is a purpose in itself. And that's certainly how I also understood what Sam mentioned last time about the confederation of purposes, where you have multiple purposes, and all of those multiple purposes taken together, they form a larger purpose. And that larger purpose is an evolutionary purpose, which is kind of like the North Star shining in the distance, but it's shining bright, and it's it's important, and it's like one of those things which maybe we don't have to define it, but it's a big thing that we're all immersed in. Um, and when it comes to the global challenges, I actually believe that we could solve all the global challenges together. That we don't have to take them one by one. That we could find an approach where we could have.
Oh, you stopped.
That was so good.
Anybody dare say Skype's better?
I can tell is essential here.
Hey, Glenn?
Yeah?
We lost you for about
30 seconds.
Oh, okay, sorry. Well, I was talking about a sort of vision of a global process, because it's one global process anyway. And it brings me back to the idea of being, that it's really all about being, in a sense. So if we look at being on a global scale, it's the being of the global population. So it's one being, it's one process which is moving forward. So the question seems to be, what kind of a process could that be? And this is where I think we may want to think very big and way outside of the box and imagine possibilities that have never been considered before, because as I said, I think we could solve all the problems in the world at once. When I say solve, I don't mean to make it perfect or anything, but improve the situation and move the situation in a direction where it's a little bit better, and then it has a promise for becoming even better still, and we retain that freedom, and that freedom to learn more, to improve, to use, like you, Anna, mentioned, all of those people are working on specific projects, solving specific problems. What if all of those skills could be combined? What if there could be some connecting factor which could make all of them work together more effectively than before, and then a little bit more and a little bit more with that shining star in the distance. And yeah, that's where I see something that could really align everything we have been talking about.
Just want to make sure that Aaron has a chance to check out because you mentioned this is your extreme edge of your window.
Yeah, yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm starting to have to run. Thank you for that. Yeah, I did write down, maybe can I throw some of these ideas I wrote down? I've been part of projects that have very defined purposes, and particularly around internet collaboration, it seems that sometimes it can be very difficult to move things forward. And of course, we know that creating culture and collaboration is really difficult. So in a lot of ways, I think that our purpose here is collaboration, right? Or also a confederate, who's cousin to a confederation of purposes. But maybe collaboration, is that enough?
I think so.
Yeah, maybe it is. Yeah, I think quite possibly too. And there are different ways that we could, I'm not gonna, well, anyway, sometimes I also think of it, maybe we're trying to just have a conversation between 100 people at once, right? And maybe these media that we're working on here, this medium that we're using here, could allow us to have a conversation with 100 people at once effectively, which would be really interesting. And maybe as I think Glenn has kind of framed it, there's really, this technology has just really sprouted up in the last 5 years, this level of peer-to-peer communication. So maybe we're just really trying to figure out how to use this well, right? Zoom, Trello, whatever, Facebook. Maybe we're just trying to figure out how to use this software correctly to connect the world. It's really simple, maybe, but and how to not misunderstand each other and then become really divisive, and for the reptile brain to start rearing its head and all. Maybe that's what, and also, as William said at one point too, really great. I'm sure that each of us has had a tension at some point. I can speak for myself. I know that I have. Where at some point we've felt, oh, we were misunderstood there, but then it's great that we do manage to kind of keep on going, which does give me a lot of faith that there's some anti-fragility here, which is really interesting. Anyway, just kind of some thoughts, and that's all. Really, really nice chatting with everybody. I can be on for another 5 minutes and I'll listen happily, but then I'll probably just write in the chat bye and then head out. So
I wonder with our checkout if we can do something we learned and something we will take away and do. I test the group to see if that feels like a good thing. And Aaron, if maybe you want to start with that, seeing as how you're first to go.
Something I learned, something I will take away and do. Yeah, that's great. Something that we learned, because, well, maybe I'll just comment on that as an idea.
Something you learned, Aaron.
Yeah, something I learned. Yeah, that's good, because I like it, because then that part of this is us figuring out how to focus on each other, right? And how to, right, that's part of the collaboration, is getting very good at knowing how to read what other people are doing. So something that I'm commenting on the question itself. I'm saying I like it. Yeah. So that's, okay, what did I learn? I can't say now. Maybe it'll hit me later when I'm walking to dinner or something. Yeah. And what will I do? I have a bunch of notes that I've written up, and I'll kind of try to engage conversation around these notes that I have here that I haven't, and I know that you've all written a lot of things, and I'll engage with that over the next week or 2 weeks. Kind of chat with you on Slack and places like that. I'll definitely do that. All right. Yeah.
I think on Anna's notion of being and on Glenn's notion of an optimism that we can solve things on all fronts. One of my favorite quotes from the Dalai Lama is this one that says, if all eighth graders or all 8-year-olds, I forget which one he said, if all 8-year-olds or all eighth graders learned to meditate, the world would change in 1 generation.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do believe that. Of course, that's a big if. But if we focus on that if, rather than, solving these 100 or so different systemic problems and looking at all these thousands of different trim tabs, that we could possibly be affecting, what if we just sought and modeled and taught and appreciated meditation, which leads then to compassion? Then those images of starving children that we see, William, or those pictures of people being beheaded, or those ugly pictures of, billion-dollar yachts, we would all relate to them differently. So yes, Glenn, I am optimistic along with you, but there's a way of approaching this that the Dalai Lama has described, which on first hearing appears preposterous, but has huge promise. Over.
I learned, it's hard to wordify, but what I'm learning, and I think one of the things that I learned today was how, Glenn, a lot of what you say are thoughts that run in my mind, and I would say it exactly the same way. And what I'm learning is the sense of resonance and dissonance with the different ways that people express their sensations and perceptions. And I'm learning where it feels uncomfortable when I don't quite resonate. And I'm learning how to kind of get in touch with what might be in the way for me, or why I'm having a reaction. And then on the flip side, where I'm like, yes, I would say it exactly that way. And so I'm learning how to be with that and how to appreciate the group mind as an experiential thing through my own body. Bye, Aaron. Thank you. And what I'm gonna do, noting there's 6 minutes and 25 seconds left in the session, is pass the mic. But what I'm going to do is I'm gonna come to the end of Saturday, the 14th of October, and stop working 16 hours a day. And then I am going to deeply invest myself in these conversations and in progressing our collective work in all the ways that I can. And yeah.
Gesundheit.
Bless you, Anna.
Thank you.
Well, I better quick. We're going to be quick, aren't we? What I've learned is that it's still not easy, and I think there's got to be ways. There's got to be ways. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what feels right for me. And if I can find people to join me, so be it. If I can't, I'll be on my own. next.
I feel that I learned that it's really important how I express myself in a way that doesn't sort of interrupt the flow of the session, because I feel that's what happened today, that there were things that people wanted to do, and because I felt that I couldn't go along with that, it somehow stopped that process happening. So I would really like to see that process going on, with me being able to say, that doesn't work for me, but it's fine for everybody else to carry on. So, you know, is there some way that I need to be able to express myself which doesn't interfere with the process that needs to happen in these meetings? So I'm trying to figure that out.
We do have just under 4 minutes. 3 minutes.
You hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I've learned, I feel like I'm learning a little bit more every time I hear you talk, a little bit more about what's on your mind and what your perspectives are. But certainly, generally, I also feel that there is a resonance and an alignment in all our perspectives, that there's a sort of larger purpose which is uniting us, and even if it's not so easy to name it, and I'm really, yeah, I feel that I'm learning that this is the right track. That's just a feeling I have. It's like, this is it. This is it. This is the path. This is what.
Can I have a quick, before you go, Anna? I think it might be an idea if we both had a big flag, so that if we do get too distant, we can still see each other. We know where we are.
You're in London, right?
No, Dorset.
Dorset. Okay. Well, it would need to be a pretty big flag.
Yeah, that's doable.
75 seconds. Okay, let me take 15 seconds. Number one, what I learned, there is a way for us to understand each other's purposes and weave them together. And I'm going to work on that. And I think it's some of the conversations, some of the dialogue, some of the CCCs, some of the identity stuff. I think that would be useful. And I also think there's room here for us to set up another parallel track of conversations around people that may want to explore that. Over. I think we've got 30 seconds. Anyone else would like to say a last word?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank us all. So bye for now.
I think we're more in alignment than maybe we can express, that we are really aligned, but it just doesn't.
More than we know.
And William, I think we are the second chance.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye.
Good to meet you, Glenn, before you go.